Now that finalizes the AFC portion. Moving on to the NFC, going to move on to everybody's favorite division, the NFC East, and moving on to everybody's favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys, who...
How far into this do you think we'll get before you remember the name Zamir White?
Zamir White, yeah, okay. Yeah, see, it was Georgia. I did a U, dude. That's all I could remember. I was like, yeah, he's from Georgia. I don't remember the rest, and he was a backup at Georgia too. It wasn't even a starter.
Do you think that's good for my memory, our memory, that we remember the college they play for, or bad for your memory that you can't remember?
I feel like we're replacing things in our memory. Like we're just replacing one thing for another. That's all we're doing. We probably knew like all the names before, but now we're getting more and more into college stuff and scouting. All we remember is the colleges, so we're just taking out names and replacing with colleges. That's all we're doing. We're on max capacity right now. It's like when you're at a concert and you're filming something, you have to delete other videos to now film what you want to film. It's the same thing.
I had a screen up on my computer at work the other day, and one of the guys came walking in, and they were like, "Oh, what are you looking at?" I was like, "Oh, some draft stuff." And he was like, "Oh, cool." He's like, "What kind of what? How do you think my team did?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm looking at next year's draft." And they were like, "What do you mean next year's draft?" I was like, "Oh, I'm looking at a 2025 mock." And they're like, "For fucking what?" I'm like, well, I don't know. This is how I learn the players that I'm supposed to. You look at the mock drafts, and then I know who I'm supposed to watch, because if there's some stud out there at South Dakota State, I want to make sure that I watch him, because otherwise I ain't going to be watching no South Dakota State this year.
Right. The Dallas Cowboys, you want to start it off?
Nope.
I gave him a C minus.
Oh, you gave him higher than I did.
Yeah, I was trying to be at least a little bit nice, but it's hard. I mean, it was really low at first, and I kind of settled at a C minus because I'm always really hard on the Cowboys. So I'm like, maybe I'm being a little negative. Maybe I'll go ahead and bump it up just a little bit. So additions of Eric Kendricks, Tyler Guyton, Cooper Beebe, and Maurice Luafau are probably going to make an immediate impact. Those latter three guys being rookies. Again, probably Zeke.
Probably and you don't like teams having their major additions be rookies.
I do not, especially when your key losses are Tony Pollard, which regardless of what I said about Tony Pollard, he is still better than what we have at the position.
Tyron Smith,
Tyler Biotish, Leighton Vander Esch retires.
Armstrong.
Stephon Gilmore is gone for now. Maybe we can bring him back. Yeah, who knows?
Michael
He's
Gallup.
up in there. So a lot of guys who are, again, it's making the team worse, and we really didn't do a whole lot to go all in. Yeah, it's probably a D. I like that you're doing it both ways, just in case you're not sure which way is the right one. C minus is what I gave it. Again, initially I was a lot lower. I was closer to like a D minus F, honestly, when I first booted it up and I started. So
this is a big fat fucking D. Do you want to know why? Because the Eagles got way fucking better, and you guys didn't do shit. You did nothing. Like, I don't want to hear you hated Tyler Guyton, so don't sit here and sing his praises. Like you hated the pick. You know you hated the pick, and we talked all leading up to the draft that it was going to be Guyton, and you hated it the entire time. And you got the corpse of Ezekiel Elliott. You're going to hand the ball off to. Terrible. And you still haven't even signed your quarterback to an extension. You haven't given your wide receiver an extension. Literally, this is what I need someone to do. I need someone to drive out to the headquarters in Dallas and make sure Jerry Jones ain't dead yet. But I got to tell you, it makes sense you guys didn't make any offseason moves because he's too damn busy pitching his damn Netflix special. Like, of course you guys didn't do anything. He was trying to get his 10-part story sold to Netflix. This is a big fat fucking D. D for Dallas.
And I'm not going to disagree. Usually I'm far and above the harder one on the Cowboys. So I was trying to give it a little bit of leeway this time around. So apparently we switched roles. Uh,
How can you be excited about next year? I'm just
Do
saying,
I
like,
do I sound excited about next year, Drew? Because I'm fucking not. I'm so fucking tired. I'm really fucking tired. You want me to do this? Fine. You know how tiring it is to hear, oh, all in, all in. We're gonna go all in. And it's not all in. All in for fucking what? You're not going all in except for another fucking helicopter that you want to fucking buy to go ahead and land at the Star to go watch the fucking players practice and then leave after 15 minutes because your old ass can't fucking breathe without a ventilator, okay? Who fucking cares, dude? This is fucking crazy. I'm over it. It's so tiring. It's like, man, and then I'm excited because we're going to go watch the fucking Browns play, so I'm like, oh, cool. I'm really excited to go watch a fucking game. And then I'm just like, how excited am I to go watch a fucking, like, I'm excited. I am. I'm really excited to go watch, but God fucking damn, dude, it's so tiring. And there's this creeping, looming suspicion that we're going to do Dak so fucking dirty next year that we're going to just somehow, some way, we're going to go through and we're going to hand Trey Lance the fucking keys next year and go, here you go. Like, the team's all yours, buddy. And that's what we're going to fucking do. We're going to do Dak, one of the most stand-up fucking guys, or like maybe one of the only Cowboys that has a person people actually like, and we're going to fucking do him dirty. That's my
but
fucking issue.
I don't think so, because y'all, you still have another quarterback on the oh, wait, never mind. Okay, you're right.
Dude, I'm fucking over it. It's tiring. All right, so now you got it out of me. Why don't you go ahead and kick us off next with the Philadelphia Eagles? Dickhead.
What happened?
No, go ahead. You go with the Eagles.
You know what's funny about Philadelphia is I think that they have my highest offseason grade, but
Okay.
I also don't know like the moves they made aren't a guarantee that they're gonna, there's a lot of moves that like look good on paper, but
Which happens every year with the Eagles.
yeah, I mean, let me just put it this way: DeAndre Swift, you replace him with Saquon Barkley. That's fantastic.
Yep. Running
Their
back room gets better.
draft was fantastic. Bryce Huff, excuse me, fantastic. Devin White, fantastic. You lose Jason Kelsey, that's rough. You lose Fletcher Cox, that's rough. CJ Gardner Johnson. So to me, it was an A. I think you upgrade the running back position, which I a lot of people I think did not understand the impact, and I think I brought this up to you. What was the running back? Was it Miles Sanders?
Yes.
That they ran that read option with that was fantastic, and DeAndre Swift couldn't run it. He wasn't really good with it, and I think that really hampered Jalen Hurts this past season. And Jalen Hurts, I don't think he is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL in terms of throwing the ball, and so I think you need to add in the other stuff, and you replace that with Saquon Barkley. To me, that's just fantastic. They drafted 2 stud corners. What was their weakest spot on defense? Their secondary. They bring in CJ Gardner Johnson. They draft 2 stud corners. They bring in Bryce Huff. Like, it's great. It was a great offseason. That's part of the reason why your guys' draft grade, why your offseason grade is so bad, because the Cowboys were good last year. The Cowboys did not get worse. They didn't do anything to get worse. Well, losing Tony Pollard kind of sucks. But they didn't do much to get worse. And Van Der Esch retires. It is what it is. But you bring in Eric Kendricks. But the Eagles got better, bro. On paper. In theory, they got better.
Right.
Their corners sucked. They replaced them with 2 really good corners. Their safeties suck. They bring in a safety. Their running back wasn't great after week 5. They bring in a star running back on paper. Now, in classic Eagles fashion, half this shit could not work out. But on paper, this looks fantastic.
Yeah, the thing is so here's how I did things is I gave I went position by position for rooms, and I said, okay, what rooms got better? And the running back room got better, but the quarterback room obviously stays the same. Wide receiver room pretty much stays the same. Tight end room pretty much stays the same. Tackles stay the same. Guards pretty much still stay the same. The center gets worse, obviously, but that's just because Jason Kelsey is
you don't replace that.
That's inevitable. But you also trade Hassan Reddick. You get Bryce Huff. That's pretty close to a wash for me.
Call that a
There's not a
wash.
big, huh?
I'll call that a wash.
And so your biggest position you get better at is corner. So you get really good at corner and really good at running back. I give it a B plus. But that's because all the other positions either to me stay roughly the same or they're a wash when you go in and replace some of the guys. So it's a B plus.
I gotta tell
Biggest
you, your
thing is
Eagles
Jason
hating is
Kelce.
showing here because you
No, it's not, bro.
you love
No,
what
it's
the fucking
not.
Steelers do, but you don't like what they do. Would you have been happier?
It's a B plus.
Would you have been happier if the Eagles had traded away Jalen Hurts for fucking Russell Wilson?
No, but they also okay. We're not talking about Jalen Hurts being Kenny fucking Pickett. It's a big difference. It's a huge difference. The Steelers added a lot of impact guys who are going to make an impact right now today who also have a ton of potential. And they got better at multiple positions. While the Eagles got better, really a lot better at 2 positions. While everything else is either just a wash or they didn't move.
But they got a lot better at their worst positions. They took the worst parts of their team and made them substantially better.
But it's a running back position.
Oh, I'm talking about the corners.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, the corners, absolutely. But how much are those guys going to play? They're on my list for biggest additions. Absolutely.
They probably should fucking start.
They should. Absolutely. But how much are they really going to play? That's the issue.
Well, when James Bradbury stubs his toe.
Right. Oh, nice. I have work tomorrow. Beautiful.
And Saquon still went with almost went for 1,000 yards last year with 6 or 7 touchdowns. Like it's an addition, dynamic addition.
It is, but I'm not talking. I mean, it's a B plus. You're not talking about multiple positions where you're getting better. Like you got worse at the center position because he retired, who's a huge part of your magical tush push, and you also get a wash on defensive end, and then you got better at running back, which okay, and then corner, you do really well there. Everything else is just about the same. There's not much of a difference there. The guys at the top, they don't make a lot of changes. Sure, but you're also going to be plus. And it's just like you said, a lot of the Eagles shit that they do, it's like, oh my gosh, how they got Shaq Leonard. That's crazy. He fucking sucked last year. He wasn't fucking good. They get a lot of namesake guys and they just don't do a whole lot. They do this shit every single year. There's like 1 or 2 guys who might work out on their big name free agents, but also they sign contracts where they can get out of them very easily. Unfortunately, they just didn't do that with the corners this time around. So that's also their fault for resigning.
I just want you to clip this when you post it on YouTube and just say Cowboys fan hates Eagles offseason.
I get, yes, I don't hate it. It's a B plus. What are we talking about? What are we talking about, bro? You know what?
You gave the Steelers an A plus.
Yeah.
That's a whole grade better than this.
Yes.
Because they traded for Russell fucking Wilson.
They got better.
Did they?
Yes. Don't act like Kenny Pickett's not one of the worst quarterbacks to ever start in the history of the NFL. You're talking about a guy who has like stats like we're from the 1960s. Like he could have gone and played during Jim fucking Crow and been just as good as a dynamic offense today. He's just not good. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are 100 times better, and I don't even like either one of those guys. Kenny Pickett is one of the worst quarterbacks to ever start in the NFL ever. Troy Fautanu is going to make an immediate impact. Impact center. Impact linebacker, impact corner where they need it, impact safety where they need it, impact wide receiver where they need it, impact linebacker again where they need it. All these positions, they need it. They got better at so many positions: corner, linebacker, center, quarterback, offensive tackle. The Eagles did it at 2 positions, and one of them is debatably important.
Are still only going to win 6 games last year, and the Eagles put them in position to make it to the Super Bowl.
But they also already have the team surrounding it for that. They already have the team for it.
And they took their potential Super Bowl aspirations and improved the worst room on their roster substantially.
If they're even going to play that much.
Okay.
I mean, that at the end of the day, they don't have to improve in a whole lot of areas, but you didn't do a lot.
It's not your fault. You're in denial. It's okay.
You got a B plus for not doing a lot.
I'd be pissed if I was a Cowboys fan.
That's pretty good.
I'm pissed as a Niners fan.
You literally don't do that much. You don't do that much, and you get a B plus. The Eagles are the guys who barely do anything on a project, and they still get a B. Like, they didn't do that much. They did a few little contributions to make them feel like they did a whole lot at running back, and then Corner, absolutely, but there's still going to be
Bryce Huff
young
is a
corners
better
in the
player
league.
than Hassan Reddick.
I don't think I believe that. Bryce Huff has what, one good year? I'm not going to throw all my
Hassan Reddick is like getting up there though. Like you don't think that
sure.
Bryce Huff statistically has a better season than Hassan Reddick this year?
I think they're going to be really similar. I think they're going to be really close. I think they're going to be around the 8 to 10 sack range. I think that's where they're going to sit. If you're ready to move on from the worst team in the league.
You know what? That's fine. We can move on. Hell, I keep forgetting that you're the guy that likes when people pay $100 million to guards, so I should just relax for a second.
Yeah, well, what about the Commanders? What do you give the Commanders?
I give the Commanders an A+ because they took the right quarterback.
Fuck you. Do you really give them an A+?
No, but I really like Adam Peters, and I think that the Commanders are on a upswing, which is another reason why I hate what the Cowboys did. But you got a new ownership, new front office, new coaching staff. They've done everything perfect. They add the right wide receiver. They add this Biotish guy that I've heard is pretty good. Besides that, they really didn't do anything, but their future is looking bright. The Commanders could win the division in 2 years when Trey Lance is the starting quarterback for the Cowboys. Jaden Daniels could be in the MVP conversation in 3 years, and Trey Lance will be the starting quarterback for the Cowboys.
So what do you want to give them?
I give him an A.
I gave him an A-. Okay. Jaden Daniels, and it's a wash between your running backs. Between you lose Antonio Gibson and you get Austin Eckler. There's really no difference between the two guys at this point in their careers. Tyler Biotish is an improvement. Dorrance Armstrong is an improvement to a room that lost a couple of their edge rushers in the middle of the season last year to trades. Johnny Newton getting him in the second round is probably a steal, and then boosting up your linebacker room with Frankie Louvu.
Frankie Louvu's a beast.
Yep. And then Bobby Wagner's there for any type of development, especially to potentially Jamin Davis, who's had kind of a rough career to start it out. And then they also bring in Mike Sanders still at slot corner. So I like
Cleveland Farrell is a better football player than the turd bucket that they traded to us at the deadline last year. So we lost the Super Bowl because of the fact that our offensive line didn't hold up, but we looked like shit leading up to the Super Bowl against the Packers and against the Lions because Chase Young was playing football for us instead of Cleveland Farrell. Cleveland Farrell is a hell of a football player. People hate on him because he was drafted so high by the Raiders and he shouldn't have been, but that doesn't matter. That if he had been drafted in the second where he should have gone, that he would have been viewed as a major impact football player because he's amazing as set in the edge, and it's just what that defense needs when you talk about who they traded away, because technically that's the trade deadline of last year, but that does leak into stuff that you need to fix this offseason. So you trade away two defensive linemen and you add all over the place.
Yeah, and I knocked them a little bit for losing Curtis Samuel and not really giving him a replacement. Kendall Fuller, not really giving a replacement when I know you brought in Mike Sanders still, but that's a slot and he's a rookie, and Kendall's an outside and plays really, really well as a vet. And then Cam Curl losing a young safety to I believe it was the Rams hurts a little bit as well. So it's an A-. Again, you improve in a lot of different positions: quarterback, running back, center, edge, defensive tackle, linebackers. You do take a couple of hits on wide receiver, corner, and safety for those.
Yeah, and when you look at what a certain team who we haven't given a draft grade yet to, so I won't spoil it, but they might have picked one pick ahead of the Commanders in this draft. What you look at what they did offensively to put talent around their young quarterback, their young signal caller, compared to what the Washington Commander football team did for their young signal caller.
Yep.
I really like what that other team did for their pick better than this. So, but it's a new outlook for the Washington Commanders. It just straight up is. Everything that's happened the last 20 years you throw right out the window because Dan Snyder was a piece of garbage and he's gone now. So
absolutely. Last
Although
team,
new owners aren't always a good thing. Look at what the Carolina Panthers are doing with that dude. So that's not always a
yeah,
guarantee, but they got the right people in the front office. They got a good head coach, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't think the Washington owner or GM is going to walk into to a restaurant and demand on who should they let draft. You heard about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, crazy.
Tepper, he's an amazing guy.
Yeah. Last team in the NFC East, the forgotten team, the New York Giants. I gave a C+ to, with their key additions being John Runyon, Malik Neighbors, Brian Burns, Tyler Nubin, and Andrew Phillips, a couple of rookies to make an impact on a pretty poor team. And then you do lose Saquon Barkley and Xavier McKinney, two guys who are younger guys who are huge impact guys for your team. So I gave him a C+. Another thing is you didn't really do a whole lot with the quarterback position outside of getting Drew Lock. If that's what you wanted to improve on, and that's your your improvisation for it, and not getting a quarterback in the draft, but you have Drew Lock. Sure, Daniel Jones is not going to work out most likely. I mean, we saw him work out for 1 year. He got his $40 million a year. But there's an out to his contract, and he's probably gone after this year. So not a whole lot of improvements around, and the losses that they did take were pretty significant in those just two categories, those two positions. So a C+ is what I gave New York.
Actually, I gave him a B plus. Brian Burns with Kayvon Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence. That's a hell of a defensive line trio. I love that. They did bring back Devin Singletary. I know you're going to roll your eyes at Devin Singletary, but if you think about his most successful years, it was when the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills was one Brian Daboll. So he has been successful there. Malik Neighbors, obviously a great addition there. I also really like Tyler Nubin and Andrew Phillips. I really love everything the Giants did. It just sucks that their quarterback sucks. So how good can your team possibly be when your quarterback situation is not any good? So B+ for
Yeah.
me, because they've now put the talent around this team to where if they suck next year and they have to draft a quarterback high, there is a chance for them to be coming into a pretty good opportunity.
Yeah. We spent so much time on the NFC East